are they, the foreign investors? How easy is to do business in Kazakhstan? What investment projects are being implemented? What areas of Kazakhstan's economy are attractive for investment? Watch business opportunities on Kazakh TV and meet successful foreign investors working in Kazakhstan.
Kelun International Corporation is among the 10 largest pharmaceutical companies in China. It has 87 branches all over the world. The most modern manufacturer of pharmaceutical products in Central Asia, the plant Kelun Kaz Farm, was built in July of 2014 in Kazakhstan. The total area of the enterprise, which is located in the Almaty region, is more than 19,000 square meters. More than 7.5 billion tenge were invested in construction of the plant. Hello, my name is Alexandra Yugai. Today, I would like to invite you to have a look at our beautiful large plant for the production of infusion solutions and injections. Let's go. Our factory was built in cooperation with China. Chinese side has invested $50 million in it. In 2012, the construction began, and in 2014, it was opened. Now we employ about 300 people, including 30 Chinese specialists. The rest are local workers. We produce 20 different types of drugs. There are two lines. One is oncology, the other is solutions. And now we provide Kazakhstan with the necessary medications. We also export drugs to Central Asia, Kyrgyzstan, Tajikistan, and Uzbekistan. Last year, we have entered the Russian market. Now the necessary work is being carried out. We provide staff with accommodation, food, and timely payment of wages. In general, everything is going well. Now we are in our administrative building, which consists of 3 floors. On the second floor, we have offices. Let's go. My every working day starts with paperwork. Well, today, since you came to my work, the day will begin with the demonstration of the production. And now we are going straight from our administrative building directly into the production via our glass corridor. Alexander Yugai, 23, is a brilliant example of a modern young professional who has achieved a lot thanks to her work and diligence. Since childhood, she was fascinated by the Chinese culture and language. Then she studied international relations and law in Beijing. Now she's glad that her knowledge is useful at home. Alexandra has been working at the plant for the production of medicines constructed on Chinese investment for 3 years. She started her career as a post office manager and became the head of the administrative unit of the enterprise. Since childhood, I was interested more in the humanities. I've graduated from a musical school. I learn languages easily. I went to a linguistic gymnasium. As far as I can remember, I was learning English. All this was useful when I entered the university. I was thinking what to study after I graduated from high school. My father helped me to make the choice and sent me to China. I decided to obey my father's advice without hesitation as a good and obedient daughter and went to Beijing. В 17 лет я оказалась совсем одна в большом мегаполисе без... I was a 17-year-old girl, alone in the big city without the slightest knowledge of the language. At first, of course, it was very difficult. It was difficult to adapt in the new atmosphere, in a new city, and get acquainted with new people. But I knew that it was a useful experience. Somehow I managed to pull myself together when the rest of my peers went back home, unable to cope with any difficulties and pressure. I completed the Chinese language foundation course after a year and a half. Then I passed the exam and entered the second bachelor course of the second semester. I saved half of the year and graduated from the institute in 4 years. After graduation, I came back home. I received several job offers in Beijing, but I wanted to go back home. I believe in destiny. I returned home July 1st after graduation. After having a rest, I was lucky to come to work here, the startup company, to a huge plant. A month after I came back home, I got my first job after graduation. It was my first job. I heard and knew that many students who just graduated from college could not find work. I came to the plant without thinking twice. At first I started to work as a secretary, then I was transferred to the personnel department and was appointed as the manager on organizational matters. I have changed, I think, at least 6 positions in 2.5 years. I'm very glad that I chose the Chinese language as I had an opportunity to work here. I had more experience over... These 2.5 years than in the time that I lived in Beijing. Thanks to working with Chinese staff, I have a good command of language, and I can say with pride that I speak fluent in 4 languages. I guess that this is just the beginning, and I look forward to further progress.
Думаю, что это только начало, и надеюсь на дальнейшие какие-то высоты.
Before we enter the production, we need to change into white sterile gowns. And, of course, do not forget about the shoe covers. And now we can enter the production. Let's start with our Clean Zone A, line of infusion solutions. Let's proceed. Let's look at our first step, the most important one, blow and press molds for bottles. And this is our head of production department. Here he has all the press molds from which get the bottles ready for the solution. Next, we see the equipment for blowing out of the press molds in the finished bottles. Unfortunately, we cannot go inside since the manufacturing process requires constant high temperature in the room. Our employees who work in this area must change into protective clothing to work inside. 2 production lines of the plant produce infusion solutions in polypropylene vials, injectable solutions in glass ampoules, as well as anti-neoplastic drugs and cardio medicine. This allows to meet the needs of the domestic market in these medications. The future plans of the company's management is the opening of an additional line for the production of antibiotics and anti-cancer drugs.
合格后由质量部进行检验，检验合格再输送到灌装，经过洗瓶、灌装、封盖的一体设备进行灌装。
This is our most important equipment in the whole production, since there are 3 steps. The first one is washing bottles, the second is bottling the mixed preparations, and the third is closing the bottles. Now we are in the sterilization department, and here is the sterilization department foreman, Baurjan Baijanov. This is our cabinet for sterilization. Today's product is sodium chloride, 500 milligrams per 4.5 grams. This medication is sterilized at 115 degrees for 30 minutes. Now we need to put them in the cabinet.
This is our登检岗位，我们的每一瓶产品还会由他们进行每一瓶进行登检，登检时间不得低于6秒。
After sterilization, our solutions undergo a light examination which lasts 4 to 6 seconds for each bottle. After light checking, our solutions are labeled. After labeling, they are sent to packaging. This is our most advanced and modernized equipment for the entire production. The equipment imported from Germany. It helps us in the packing of finished products, which reduces the amount of work of all our employees. Characteristics of the pharmaceutical products plant meet international standards. In addition to the gradual import substitution with the corresponding medicines of domestic production, the company is preparing for expansion into foreign markets. Production volumes allowed to make the delivery of drugs to the nearest neighborhood. Our production in 2015 obtained a license in accordance with GMP standards. Therefore, all you have just seen, every stage of production is based on the highest levels. We are currently in our storage building. Here you can see our already packaged products. The products will be sent to all the medical institutions of Kazakhstan and the Commonwealth of Independent States in the future. I want to say that the annual output of our plant is more than 60 million bottles a year. According to representatives of the company, the range of medicines will consist of 150 items in the near future. All products are tested daily on the modern equipment produced in Japan and Taiwan. This is water for injection and this is distilled water. They were brought from the water preparation department. We conduct two types of tests: bacterial endotoxin testing and bacteriological purification. These samples are placed in a clean area. So we put our samples in a clean area. Now the process of microbiological water purification begins. This is our laboratory, in particular room for microbiological examination. Please note that we have foreign workers here. 10% of them are Chinese employees. They are the specialists who came specifically to our laboratory.
你好，这个是我们微生物鲜度用的培养皿，然后我可以带你去那边看一下。
好，давайте пройдем в наш.
Let's go to our next room.
无菌成品用里面的一个细菌的一个培养器，然后我们要培养14天。
We are preparing the ready-made substances here. They are stored in thermostatically controlled equipments for 14 days. Then we go to the chemical physics laboratory where testing and experiments are held. The laboratory staff includes graduates of the Asfandyarov Kazakh Medical University who had internships in China. They constantly improve their skills abroad. Now let's have a look at the most important process that takes place in our laboratory. We call this process the quantitative determination. We determine the concentration of the active ingredient of products, sodium chloride, by titration method. According to test results, the protocol is filled in and the results are recorded in accordance with the requirement. We check the quality of the intermediate and finished products in this physical and chemical laboratory. That is, the products that are produced in our country, including sodium chloride, glucose, antibiotics, fluconazole, metronidazole, and other drugs. First of all, we check the intermediate products of these drugs. After we verify the products in accordance with all standards of intermediates, they can be passed further. Then we check the quality of finished products. We check if the active substance as part of the solution meets the requirements. Then we check other indicators too. Water is the main part of medicine produced in our company. Due to this, control of water analyzed is of special attention. After I came home, it was interesting to test my abilities and to evaluate my level of language proficiency. That's why I submitted my resume on job search website. A lot of companies immediately contacted me the next day. They were not interested in my Chinese language knowledge. English language proficiency and responsibility were required. I thought that I spent 4 years for learning language and I decided to wait a little longer. Thus, I have received an offer from Kellum Company within 2 weeks. I was thinking about this offer. The pharmaceutical plant, chemistry, physics, biology, and these things had nothing to do with me. But I decided to come for an interview. They needed a secretary, assistant director, because their management does not speak Russian. I had an interview and wrote an essay. Spoken Chinese and business correspondence were also required. It's not a secret that it is possible to learn Chinese, speak without any problems because the grammar is not as complicated as in Russian. The most important and the most difficult is to learn the Chinese characters. There are lots of Chinese characters and no one has ever counted how many characters there actually exist.
Тяжелое – это иероглифы. То есть их очень много, и даже никто еще не сосчитал, сколько на самом деле.
I wrote a thesis entirely in Chinese. That's why a letter for me, for example, was not such a big difficulty. So I wrote an essay and had an interview, and after 5 days, I had the job.
Сложности. Поэтому я написала эссе, прошла собеседование, и через 5 дней меня приняли на работу, на испытательный срок сначала. Я помню, это было 3 месяца.
There was a trial period. I remember it was about 3 months. Then I signed an employment agreement as a staff member in a month and a half. This motivated me for future achievements.
Для дальнейших достижений. Вот. После чего я уже стала официальным сотрудником. И сейчас...
So I found a permanent job. I've been working here for 2.5 years and I'm very happy. I'm glad that I used knowledge that I gained. I did not study in vain. I was studying hard while others, maybe, just joyfully spent their time.
Гуляли. Конечно, во время учебы возникало очень много трудностей, даже, может быть, не с изучением...
Of course, I faced a lot of difficulties, including language learning and domestic issues while studying. I had to move from dormitory accommodation to rental housing. It was necessary to solve some things when the hot water and the light were turned off. I'm the youngest in my family and hadn't had such problems before. This was one of the reasons why my father decided to send me to study abroad. So I somehow managed to become more independent.
Самостоятельно, не жила на всем готовом. И сейчас, да, конечно, это все помогло. Были трудности, я помню, с обществом.
All these obstacles helped me. I remember there were difficulties with communication too.
Родителей, что они возложили на меня какое-то...
But I always felt responsibility because my parents trusted me that I wouldn't fail. I used to finish everything that I started to do, whether it's music, school, and English classes. Even if I did not like it, I always did the best. Therefore, the same situation was with the study at the institution.
Шла до конца, поэтому с институтом, наверное, то же самое.
The activities of the relatively young pharmaceutical company influence not only the development of the industry in Kazakhstan, but also can significantly reduce the cost of medicines in the domestic market.
Бұл енді завод негізі халықаралық стандарт бойынша, GMP стандарты бойынша салынған. Ол стандарт...
The plant was constructed according to international standards, GMP standards. This indicates its highly quality because enterprises constructed with these standards put quality above all else.
Екіншіден, енді бүткіл президенттің айтқанында бар, жергілікті өнімді арттыру.
In addition, the president spoke about the increase in the share of local production. Therefore, I believe that we now provide Kazakhstan with all the necessary medicines.
Негізгі Қазақстанға қажетті дәріні біз әзір өндіріп беріп жатырмыз. Қазақстан өкімет жағынан көмек болды бізге. Мына жергілікті Қарасай ауданының әкімінен, одан кейін Алматы облысынан.
The Kazakh government has supported us. Karasay District Governor, Almaty Region Administration, and the Ministry of Health also support us.
Мына тендер кезінде, өтемді тендер кезінде жергілікті өнімді қолдайды.
All this is a huge help for us.
Ол бірінші орында тұрады. Осының өзі бізге үлкен көмек.
Constructed in Kazakhstan with attraction of the Chinese investment, the plant for the production of pharmaceutical products is a company with a high degree of automation. Nevertheless, the company employs about 450 people. More than 90% of them are local residents. The production will only expand in the course of time, which means that it will need more staff with domestic medical education.